The landslide last Friday in Gaopo village in China's southwest Yunnan province has remained amongst China's top stories. 46 residents, including 27 adults and 19 children, were killed by the landslide, which the local authorities said spread over an area 390 feet long, 360 feet wide, and 50 feet deep. In addition to the human lives, the landslide has also caused an economic loss of more than $7 million. According to the state-run China Daily, local authorities promised that the victims' families would receive over $3,000 in compensation for each relative killed, and that there would be relief funds of over $1.7 million allocated by different levels of government in the province for relief efforts. And as for the reasons behind the landslide, an investigative report released by geological experts in Yunnan comments that the incident was a natural disaster caused by continuous rain and snow during the preceding weeks. The experts said that the village is located in a high, steep mountainous area with loose mud rock foundations which tend to shift after being saturated with rain and snow. Their theory has, however, been questioned by locals and media organizations. The Oriental Morning Post of Shanghai points out that there are 14 coal pits around the area where the landslide occurred, and some locals think the landslide was probably caused by a collapse in a coal mine or a gas explosion, though these accusations have all been denied by local authorities. There are also disturbing reports saying that local authorities conducted forced cremations on the bodies of the victims shortly after they were found. So how do net users view the landslide and decisions by local authorities? To get an idea, let's join our researcher Esther Deng in the newsroom. First off, Esther, what do net users think is behind this landslide? And who do they believe, local experts or the local residents?
Well, based on the comments I've seen, the majority of net users don't believe the conclusions made by the experts. Although the mountainous areas in Yunnan are prone to landslides and earthquakes, lots of net users aren't convinced that this landslide was a complete natural disaster, especially when they learned that the experts drew the conclusions within 2 days. First, let's listen to Gao Zhihong on Sohu.com. If a landslide is confirmed as a natural disaster, they should be caused by heavy rain, which turns to mountain torrents. But this landslide happened in winter when there's little rainfall. So how did these experts reach their conclusions? Why didn't they show us the details? Xi Gualing Dui from Jiangsu has similar requirements for the experts. How can they reach the conclusion about a disaster in such a short time? Whether it's a man-made or natural disaster, the experts should show us the public convincing data about its causes and consequences. After all, it killed 46 human beings. And also, a certain number of net users firmly believe that these experts, if there's any, are simply speaking for the local government. Tianhong 8582 sharply points out, if they say the landslide was related to the coal mines, then the local mining bureau and the local government will be punished by the upper authorities. Of course, they don't want to ask for trouble. And I've also come across a net user who said he or she lives near the area where the landslide happened. And actually, this comment has got support from over 14,000 net users. Farmers there are extremely poor. They are living a life which people can only imagine hundreds of years ago. But by violent contrast, the local officials are super rich, and they accumulate their wealth based on the local coal mines and the tobacco industry. But there are also others who think these people's doubts and accusations are groundless. One typical example is Wu Yishi. Did this journalist go down to the coal mines? Did anybody who is criticizing the experts and local officials go there? Come on, if you question something, you should have proof and professional knowledge.
Well, there are certainly no shortage of doubts and anger towards the experts there. And another thing I've just mentioned is the forced cremation of the bodies without getting permission from their families. What are net users saying about this?
On this question, first, I have to say in recent years, Chinese people have heard plenty of cases where local authorities burned the bodies after some severe accidents happened. The Sohu.com publishes a feature on this, which says that in recent years, forced cremation has become an important way for local governments to cover up things after the accidents happened. And the dead people's bodies were burned to ashes along with their dignity. Since the landslide in Yunnan is on the news currently, lots of the comments I've seen are directly related to this. And the local authorities justify themselves by giving several different reasons, like not enough refrigerators to keep the body, or for fear of infectious diseases, or the families would become too sad after seeing the bodies. But lots of net users are quite angry with the local authorities and think these are nonsense. First, listen to this poster from Guangdong. The local temperature keeps below the freezing point these days, and the bodies can be kept even outside of the refrigerators. Why did they burn the bodies so quickly and deprive their families last chance to see their relatives? They just want to cover up everything. And this poster on 163.com has this take. Forced cremation is an illegal behavior. Local police and the courts should get involved. But not everyone is against the local authorities' decision of forced cremation. This poster named Wu Shuangwei Yang on Sohu.com is a typical one. See, just think about it. What would be the bodies like after being squeezed by the heavy stones? How can their families bear that? These people are dead anyway. We should think for the alive. I don't think there's anything wrong with the cremation.
And finally, Esther, anything else you'd like to share with us about this tragedy?
Oh yeah, just one more thing. Lots of posters mentioned that it's high time for Chinese local governments to build their credibility and really do something for the people. First, listen to Wang Yan Yuchuan. The locals said that they found there were cracks in the mountain where the landslide occurred 3 years ago. But is there any officials or experts ever bothered themselves to visit there? Now, when the tragedy happened, local officials promised that they would do this and do that, and they keep on telling the media about how many people they've sent to provide disaster relief. They never forget to use this as a chance to give a PR stand for themselves. And finally, I'd like to finish up with this take from Jingxuan Shuiyue. The local residents think that this landslide was caused by coal mining, and we need a professional expert to do in-depth investigation to find out the real reasons. That's important not only for the issue of who should be responsible for the tragedy, but also for taking precautions against similar cases from happening. And if it is indeed a man-made disaster, then relevant people and officials should be punished. That's an important way to improve the government's credibility among the ordinary people.
Thanks, Esther. And that was China Take researcher Esther Deng on the landslide in Yunnan, where it seems the causes of this incident are still unclear, which has created much debate online. Next on China Take, some of the top trending phrases on China's most popular search engines.